If your dump trailer is running slower than an 8-day clock, there's a couple things you need to look at. You need to know how to do this anyways, but it may just be a simple repair and get you back up and going. You know what they say about dump trailers? They are a brother-in-law's best friend. If you own a dump trailer and have a brother-in-law, you're going to be the MVP of the family. You're going to need to make sure it works properly. That way when he borrows it, you can get it back in one piece. But many times our dump trailers run slow, the pump runs slow, and eventually if you don't take care of it, it's not going to dump at all. And there ain't nothing worse than a dump trailer that don't dump. You know what you have when you have a dump trailer that don't dump? You have a trailer. You have really like a politician. You just have something sitting here full of crap not doing nothing. And we don't want that, right? We want our stuff to work for us, right? So I'm going to show you a couple things that you need. Now something you could do to your brother-in-law if you want to pull a fast one and make sure it doesn't work, maybe unplug it, fill it full of material, and just go buy him a cheap shovel. Cheap shovel is cheaper than maintenance, right? He can just shovel it out and then he won't want to borrow it again. That's free advice from the TrailerSmith. When it comes to a slow running pump on your dump trailer, or sometimes even a non-running pump, many times the issue is right here and is one of the easiest fixes, and it's not that expensive. It is the battery. You could have a couple things going on with the battery. Many of the times it is low voltage. A couple of things that causes that: if you've had the trailer down for maybe the off season and you just brought it back out, fixing to put it to work, or if you work it hard every day, low voltage on this battery will run the pump slow. The other thing that low voltage will cause on that, it can burn the pump out, but most of the time it burns this component out right here. This is the continuous duty solenoid. It will burn this out. That is replaceable. It's not super expensive. It's not hard to replace, and usually pretty ready available if you have a common pump, this being a KTI. You need to know how to replace this. If you're running commercially, if you're doing a lot, I would recommend keeping one of these on hand. So if you do have material on a job site and this does get burned up, you can get it replaced. But low voltage and running on a low battery will burn this up eventually. Say your battery is in pretty good shape. The other area is the battery terminals. They'll have heavy corrosion. Many times it'll be on the ground side, but it could be corroded either or. So check those out, make sure they're clean. Buy some contact cleaner, put on there. You can also buy some protective spray that works pretty good. And then check the cable all the way down. Make sure it doesn't have any nicks in it. Look at any areas where it's connected to make sure the wire is not melted. If you see any heating in the insulation, the wire could be compromised on the inside, or if the shielding has been compromised, it can get corrosion in there. And I've seen these, rot, 1 to 4 inches on the inside, and even though the connector looks good, it has lost flow in there, and it's gonna have so much voltage drop before it gets to the pump, it's not gonna do anything. So check your battery condition out. What I would recommend on your battery, if it's been down for the season or even been down for a few weeks, is to charge it. Now let's talk about chargers. We're gonna move back to the front. Most late model dump trailers do come with an onboard charger. It is handy. It's just a 110 outlet that you can plug your cord in, and it's got an onboard charger. It will not overcharge. Here's what I don't like about this. So this is good for maintaining. It's good for trickle charge. If your battery is all the way down, I'm not saying that this cannot charge it. It's just gonna take forever. So if you've worked a hard day or your trailer's been setting for a lengthy period of time or for the off season, get you a good quality battery charger. Charge the battery to its fullest extent. What I'd recommend doing before you start the season, or if you've had any trouble with it, once it's fully charged, I would recommend either taking the battery in somewhere. A lot of the parts stores will load test the battery, or you can pick up a load tester. I'm not sure if this is available online. If it is, I'll leave a link, but you can actually load test that battery just to see where it's at. We'll load test this one. I have no idea where this one's at. Let's find out. So we hook it up. So it's showing close to 13 volts. But when we load test it, this battery, the cranking amps on it show cold cranking at 560. So let's load it up and let's see what we got. So it's actually pretty good. So it's coming down close to 11, but in the cranking amp capacity, it's still up there. So it's doing good. So this will probably be fine. Now this will get extremely hot. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually smoking right now. It's burning the dust off of it. But these are pretty readily available. And again, like I said, if I went online, I'll leave it for you. This is a handy tool to have if you have anything 12 volt, because you can charge it all day long, but if it's got a bad cell in there, you get it charged, hook it up, and it's still not working, it will drive you nuts and make you want to pull what little hair you have left out. So load test that battery. So if you get all that done, your battery's good, your connections are good, you've really been through it, but it's still running slow, then it may be a little bit bigger of an issue. I'm gonna go grab some components. I'm gonna show you what to look for, what you can do to maybe self-diagnose that, and the repair procedures you can do before you have to take it into a shop. And if you may not be near a shop that can do that, so you need to know how to do this, especially if you're stuck out in the field. Again, usually these go down like everything else. You usually have a flat tire when you're headed on a trip somewhere, or you have a bearing go out when you're headed on a trip. Well, usually you get this full of material, not overloaded, of course, because nobody does that, but you get it full of material and you either get stuck up in the air or it won't dump, and you got to shovel it out because a lot of shops will not work on it if it's completely full of material, so they're going to make you remove the material from a safety standpoint. So let me go grab a few components and let's jump into it. So right here, this is a dual action pump. If you have a single action, you're only going to have one of these. You could have a configuration where you could have more of these, but most of your dual action is going to have 2 coils. So this is square coil and round coil, and these are the valves. These coils get replaced more than probably they should. The coil usually does not go out. We've showed how to test a coil before. I think we have a video on that. I'll explain it again here shortly. If your pump is running slow or not running at all, just don't go out and replace these. You're probably going to waste your money. You're not going to be able to return it because you've installed them. There is something you can look at here to check out. So this is the coil. An easy way to check this, you can hook a hot and ground up to it and just put a screwdriver in it. If it energizes, once you do that, it's just a magnet, that's all it is. It opens and closes, or opens and allows the valve here to be closed. So that's one way you can test it. Usually the only time I have to replace this is somebody's dropped something and broke one of the terminals off, then we put a new coil, but these just don't go out on a regular basis. I will tell you as well, people want to buy a valve. The valves usually don't go out either, unless it's just got tons of use on it, tons of miles. We'll see if we can zoom in here. Is the camera picking this area up? But what can happen from contamination, and we're going to talk about different types of contamination here shortly. You have a screen here, you have a screen on the bottom, and then you have some holes in it. If you get crap in there, it does not take much to clog that up, so that can restrict pump flow either up or down depending on which valve. It can slow the pump down, and it will damage the unit. It will eventually damage the motor, and you're going to have to replace the complete unit at that point or have it rebuilt. It's usually more cost effective just to replace it. If you go to this point, there's some procedures you need to take. Just don't pull this valve out. If you're on a dual action pump, it is likely has some pressure on it and you could become injured. Hydraulic injection in your skin is not a good thing. So if you're going to get to this point, you're going to need to either look up the manufacturer, reach out to the manufacturer, whether that be through a tech line or on the interwebs, and find the proper bleed down procedure and removal on that, and follow, because every pump can be different, so make sure you follow that, or take it into a shop that's qualified and have them do it. But restriction in this, in either valve, whether it's 1, 2, 4, whatever it's got, can cause a slow running pump. But just don't go out and buy this, because there's a chance it is fine. It may just need to be cleaned out. You could just clean this out with some brake cleaner if it is. Now, if it's full of metal, if it's full of something like that, then you got to ask yourself, where did that come from? If it's got a bunch of metal shavings in there, then it's probably time. It's probably fixing to give it up. You're going to have to replace it. If it's got dirt and crap like that, or sand, we see that. You got to figure out where that's coming from, and I'm going to show you where that comes from next. 10 out of 10 times, the contamination inside the reservoir comes from the reservoir breather and fill cap. I'm going to show you why it does that. You also have the bleeder port over here. It can come from there. Usually if you leave this loose, whether it's vibrated loose or you use it to bleed it and you didn't catch it, you can get contamination. If you can see inside this toolbox, it has some dirt. It has a bunch of stuff in it because this trailer is used to make a living, so it's going to get dirty. So I'm going to show you why it fails on the breather cap. So I'm going to pull it off. So running these pumps low voltage on a dual action, this won't happen on a single action. So single action is gravity down. Or if you have a dual action that has a gravity down option, it's not as worrisome. But this is a dual action, so it's power up, power down. When you're coming in the power down position, if you have a low battery, if you have a faulty remote, a wiring issue, whatever it may be, if you don't hear the pump running coming down the same as it is going up, so say when you go to come down with your load and it just sounds like it's gravity coming down, you need to stop, because what you're doing, you're introducing air into the system at that point. It's going to fill full of air and the pump is going to puke. We have a video on puking pumps, but it's going to blow this cap out. You see inside that? I have not opened this. It is missing one critical device. There is no breather material in there. There should be a filter in there, and that helps keep the dirt and sand. So what this tells me is, at some point somebody has lowered this and it has saturated itself full of air. It has popped this cap out, and when it does that, it usually unloads the whole pump like a volcano. It always expels the filter that's in there, and they just didn't get the filter back in here. So now, yes, it is a breather, but it's just open air. So if you're working in a sandy environment, if you're working on a pad site where they've got a bunch of loose sand, if you live here in Texas where the wind likes to blow 40 miles an hour, you know, at least 8 days out of the week, it's just going to suck sand in there. That sand is going to get into the screen that's in the pump. It could stop that up, or if it's fine sand, it is going to go through that pickup tube screen. It's going to get into your valve. I don't know what I did with the valve, but it's going to get into the valve that I showed you earlier, and eventually it is just going to saturate the system. It's going to burn up the pump. So your oil is contaminated at that point. That is going to cause it to run slow. That is going to cause catastrophic failure. It's going to start eating on the seals, inside everything in the pump and all the way to the cylinder. So if this blows off, it's very common. It's an easy fix. If you can't find the filter material, either order you a cap or go to a shop that has one, and you'll probably have to buy the whole cap. Most of the time you can't get just the filler material. If the filter material is there, clean it out with some brake clean, put it back, snap that on. But don't leave it like this, especially if it looks like that. You need to do something to it, because it's just an open vent tube to get full of dirt. So moisture in the pump can cause it to run slow as well, because it changes the viscosity of the oil that's in there. If you get enough humidity, enough moisture like we have right now, it's just going to make it hard, and the pump's just going to make a weird noise. So usually if your pump is struggling, it's going to scream or it's going to whine. It's going to not sound normal, and that is your first clue that your trailer is trying to tell you, hey, I need some help, need some attention. So you need to stop it at that point if you can, and address it as soon as possible. The other very common mistake we see, if you know how many hydraulic fluids that are out there, raise your hand, because I have no clue. I just know there's a bunch of them out there. Some hydraulic fluids that are used in machinery are also used for us to help our digestive system every once in a while. Maybe you didn't know that, or maybe you did. If you didn't, you do now. But you have to put the correct hydraulic fluid. Most of your dump trailer pumps are going to use one of two fluids, not mixed, one of two. They're going to use an automatic transmission fluid like a Dextron 3, or they're going to use an AW32 or 32 AW, which means anti-wear. So don't just go grab, a lot of equipment, a lot of tractors takes this universal tractor hydraulic fluid. That's great for the application it's made for. Don't pour it in here. I used to work on heavy equipment. Most of our equipment took AW46. Hey, that's close enough, right? We can pour AW46. AW46 will go in here. AW46 will run through here. The problem with AW46, especially during the winter time, or if you live in a cold environment, AW46 is twice the thickness of AW32. So it's a thicker oil, so automatically it is going to run slower. It is also going to burn the pump up at some point. Make sure you're putting the right fluid in it. AW32 is very easy to get. You can usually buy it in quarts or gallons like at your big box stores. It's the same stuff that goes in many zero-turn hydrostatic drives on the rear wheels. Many of your bigger parts stores will sell it in a 5-gallon bucket and larger, but AW32 or Dextron 3 is mostly what's going to go in these. It will tell you on the top of the reservoir, if it still has a sticker, what goes in it. If that's not available to you, if you can figure out what type of pump, it's going to have a number somewhere. Go to the interwebs, find that out, but make sure you're running the hydraulic fluid. That's, other than battery, that's probably the most common we see, is dirt contamination inside the pump, or mixed hydraulic fluid, water contaminated hydraulic fluid, or too thick of oil in there. And I say oil, too thick of oil in there, and it's going to slow that pump down. It's going to cause whine, and it's just not going to do its job, and eventually it's going to tear up, and you're going to have to spend some money on a pump. If you never bought a pump before, price you one. You need to know, because at some point you may wear it out. They're not crazy money, but you are going to have to replace it at some point. The other problem we see is you have like this instance right here, you may have a contaminated pump. It's got crap in the system. It's burnt the pump up, and you go to replace the pump. The hydraulic system doesn't get flushed out properly. So the lines do not get flushed. The cylinder does not get flushed. Flushing the system out can be a chore you would need to get with the manufacturer of the pump or the trailer manufacturer if you're going to do that procedure and properly flush the system out. It can be flushed with hydraulic fluid in most cases, but there is a protocol to use whether you're using a single action is the easiest. Dual and larger is a little different to do that, so it can be dangerous, so make sure you follow manufacturer's recommendation on pump flushing. Once you install that pump, you will need to do a bleeding process, which we have a video that covers that as well. But that is the main things that keep these running slow. And running slow will eventually lead to not running at all. And again, like I said, at that point, it's just a trailer full of stuff that you need out. So you're going to have to get a shovel or go get your brother-in-law and get him a shovel, get you a lawn chair and watch him dig it out. So check voltage first. Whether that's in the middle of the season or start of the season, make sure that battery charged. If you went out and you've had a hard day, maybe you've been putting in flowers for mama, and you run this thing up 10 or 15 times, put it on a full-size battery charger. Get you one. They're affordable. You can get smart chargers that you can set the timer, or it gets to a certain volt and it won't overcharge it. If you got one of the old ones like me, if you put that on there, it'll charge it until you unplug it, and you may get 15 or 20 volts in there. It may swell up and pop like a balloon, so don't do that. But just check your voltage, check your fluids. That is the main things that cause these to run slow and eventually will cause them not to run at all. So once you get that going, before you head out, check your lug nuts, and we'll see you down the road.